Have you ever stopped to think why trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved is invariably a bad idea? Because it is. It always has been. And it probably always will be. We enter certain toxic relationships that we can be the exception, that our love will transform the other person, that with us it will be different. And that's where the whole begins, emotional, deep, tiring. A whole called emotional dependence, where you try to convince someone to be saved while forgetting that you are also drowning in the first 5 minutes of the story. We already see the signs, but the illusion is strong. You cling to phrases like, "He's only like that because he's suffered a lot. She just needs someone to stay by her side. It's just a bad phase." And that's it. You've become the emotional savior of history. But let me remind you of one thing. Loving someone does not give you the power to reprogram the other person. It's not even your role. And if you think it is, maybe what's missing is not love for the other person, self-love. This idea of trying to fix someone who didn't ask for it, doesn't want it, or worse, sabotages every attempt, is one of the bad decisions most common in abusive relationships, emotionally draining, and the price is always the same. The bill comes in the form of exhaustion, frustration, loneliness, and the constant feeling of chasing something that will never arrive. Do you know what's cruel? In many cases, those who need salvation don't even believe they need to change. There are people who settle for chaos, who hide behind traumas to manipulate, blame, and avoid any kind of responsibility. And then you, with your good heart, volunteer to join a battlefield where the other person isn't even fighting. All you do is get shot at this kind of unilateral relationship where only one tries, only one gives, only one wears himself out. It is not love. It is self-abandonment disguised as care. You wear the armor of the strong, but inside you are in ruins. And while you think you are helping, you are actually losing yourself. And here comes the question that no one wants to ask, but everyone needs to. Why do you insist on trying to save someone who clearly doesn't want to leave? Is it pride? Fear of being wrong? Clinging to the idea that your love is special? Or maybe because accepting the truth that you are not enough to make the other person change is too painful? The truth is that we don't want to accept that sometimes the best help you can give is to walk away. But don't worry. We're going to talk about this more. It's going to hurt a little. It's going to remind you of unresolved stories of past relationships that left you feeling down. And that's okay, because discomfort is the first step towards real change. Now answer me. Honestly, have you ever tried to save someone who didn't want to be saved? If so, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're still trying, stay with me until the end of this video, because maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop throwing life buoys to those who'd rather drown. Let's be real, without beating around the bush. Trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved is like trying to push a truck with the engine off, alone, going up a hill and still being cursed for it. Is there anything more unfair? There you are, bending over backwards, giving in, giving up your limits, your plans, your emotional health. And the other person doesn't even bother to get up from the comfortable emotional chair where they are sitting, while you struggle trying to make the relationship work. And do you know what the worst part is? Those who give the most are usually the ones who get hurt the most. At first you feel needed. If I don't stay, he'll get worse. If I give up, she'll be lost forever. But over time, this feeling of being important turns into a feeling of belonging, emotional prison, and then you can't get out anymore because the guilt holds you back. The truth is, there are people who don't want to be helped, who is so attached to their own traumas, emotional addictions, and destructive patterns that any attempt to get closer is seen as a threat. And the cruelest, this person may even say they want to change, but they don't want to do the work. He wants the comfort of your presence. He wants your care, your support. But he doesn't want to get off his ass from the chair of his own emotional irresponsibility. Have you ever been there? You tried being a psychologist, a partner, a firefighter, a guru, and still keep your relationship going. Tell me in the comments. Seriously, share your experience. 'Cause there are a lot of people listening to this video right now who need to know that they are not alone. And you can be that warning sign for someone. Now, let me tease you a little more. How many times have you said, "This time I'm leaving," and stayed? How many times have you sworn that you wouldn't accept less than you deserve, and accepted even crumbs? That's not love. That's fear. Fear of letting go, fear of being alone, fear of admitting that the other person won't change, no matter how hard you try. And when you insist, even though you see that the other person is not committed, do you know what happens? You become an accomplice to your own exhaustion. You enter a cycle where pain is predictable. But somehow you convince yourself that it is better than emptiness. But let me remind you of one thing. Emptiness is being with someone who doesn't really love you. Emptiness is feeling lonely as a couple. It is empty to fight alone for two. And yet, you stand there thinking that if you just give it one more chance, it will work. It's just one more effort. Just one more push. But tell me, how many chances did you give yourself? While you were saving others, who is saving you? If you identified with all of this right here, I was once that person who tried to save someone who didn't want help. Talk in the comments. That's where the magic happens. It's where we connect without judgment. And if you still have doubts about whether or not you should keep trying, wait for the next part, because we're going to talk about the turnaround, about what happens when you stop trying to save others and start saving yourself for real. Do you know what the most difficult moment in this whole story is? It's not when someone disappoints you, nor when they say, once again, that they'll change. And they don't. The hardest part is when you finally understand that the problem was never a lack of love, it was a lack of reciprocity. You gave too much love to someone who didn't even know what to do with it. And the craziest thing, deep down, you knew. You always knew, but you kept insisting. Because accepting that the other person won't change, it hurts. It hurts more than all the lies. It hurts more than the broken promises. Because this pain comes from the raw, unfiltered reality. No one changes for you. No one changes if they don't want to. And then, when the penny drops, something inside you shifts. Suddenly you realize that you spent too much time trying to fix up a house that was never yours. That you lost yourself trying to find someone. That you put yourself aside in the hopes of saving someone who wasn't even drowning. They were just comfortable watching you swim for two, and then you let go. You stop chasing. You stop sending messages, justifying, accepting the bare minimum. And in that silence, something magical happens. You start to hear yourself again, your voice, which was previously muffled by the other person's excuses, becomes clear again. You start to remember what you like, what you feel, what you deserve. And you start to realize that maybe, just maybe, the best decision you ever made was to stop trying to save someone who never even offered you a rope, because you don't need it anymore. You don't have to prove your worth by carrying someone on. You're back. You don't need to transform anyone to deserve love. You need and deserve a love that is light, reciprocal, mature. That does not depend on salvation, but on partnership. And if no one has ever told you this, then listen now. You are not selfish for giving up on someone who only hurts you. You are brave for having looked inside, taken a deep breath, and understood that love is not a prison. That insisting on a relationship that only exists because you support it is a type of silent violence against yourself. And you know what? The peace that comes after the decision to leave, so powerful. You start to wonder how you held on for so long. If this video reached you, it's not by chance. It could be the push you needed to stop trying to save others. And finally, start saving yourself. And if you felt this in your heart, if any sentence here hit you hard, then you know. Subscribe to the channel, not to help me, to remind you. Every week, we'll talk about these stories that we insist on repeating, but that we already know deep down are a bad idea. Here, there is no filter, no illusion, no romanticization of pain. It has truth, it has clarity, it has self-love, the kind that saves. So breathe, lift your head. Remember, you are not responsible for anyone's salvation, but you are 100% responsible for getting yourself out of the place where they hurt you.